Happy first day of spring, ready for a rebirth, huh? But this is the long-winded portion. I want to just explain as briefly as possible what historic preservation is. It's not just fixing the house up. There's purpose behind it. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Thanks all for coming. Everyone who has come today cares about the revitalization of colonial Salem City. Thanks to all our preservation group and to Dr. Gorman for assembling the group. Special thanks to Superintendent Jack Swain. Jack couldn't be here today. Jack and I have several 30-40 hours out back. We took down a barn, the back part of this house. We secured the house and prepared it for today's event. So we wish Jack could have been here. Unrelated to our Salem project, there's been an educational epiphany has occurred. Jack Swain and I have been working on an implementation of a historic preservation program in the Salem County Vo-Tech. It will be offering to be entered as a potential elective overlapping the building trades programs. The project date will start September of this year. The program will serve as a model for all other Vo-Techs in the country, and there's no program like it anywhere. We need a place for the kids. The kids are going into the trades. They don't have a lot of work when they get out. So hopefully we can eventually redirect them back to Salem City where they come from or where most of them come from. And many thanks to the Dr. John Hohen, our videographer, Life After Television, for our Colonial Trade Series and video promotion of the property. There's John. Also, special thanks to the inmates. We had inmates loading our first dumpster for the back porch and other debris a few weeks back. So again, everybody's helping out here, so it's wonderful. I would like to add that we have had donated an entire woodworking mill shop with machines and tools to the city to be located purportedly to the Pennies building once that's restored. And that's going to act as a community center or county center for people to get woodwork done, reproduction moldings, doors, sash at a reduced rate. And we'll also be training young people and senior citizens there how to create this woodwork. So putting expertise at your fingertips locally. In addition, we're going to setting up to provide certification for preservation carpenters. There's no preservation carpenters within 3 counties of us here, and that's an issue. If you're going to restore historical fabric, you're going to do it right. So if they want to be recommended by our group, we're going to certify them through a series of courses and programs. There is nothing more to say about the dwelling behind me. This is just a historic tool. It will undergo a high-grade, sympathetic restoration using only like fabric and applied craftsmanship standards acquired from preservation certification attained from the UK. For far too long, people here have not understood the benefits of our city's history. That stops today at 67 Broadway. Our group is working side by side with the Honorable Mayor Washington to administer a successful and cultural rebirth here on the first day of spring. To move our city forward, we must concentrate on the strength of our history, the arts, historic architecture, and most of all, the African American heritage. This includes the Underground Railroad and many famous African Americans who have come from the city and through the city to create national prominence. Although it has not been taken care of for generations, our city that is, Salem City is the first and one of the most important cities in the start of the colonization of America. America started here indeed. Historic preservation is more than saving a building. It's about a community, the people, the economy, the environment and well-being, learning from our past to improve our future. Saving buildings that have played key roles in our city's history and important places that people who have lived here. Historic preservation gets a bad rap at times for gentrification of neighborhoods. A recent national survey shows that historic districts are the most diversified. Young, old, black, white, Hispanic, straight, gay, uneducated, educated, living harmoniously down the street next to each other. It fosters diversity and openness. A common misunderstanding about historic preservation is about economics. It's expensive. Not so. It makes economic sense and good for the community. It's far labor intensive than new construction, and it creates more jobs. So when the money is given to labor as opposed to materials, the more money stays in the local community. It leverages investment indirectly. Historic preservation attracts desirable small businesses. Also, rent in older small businesses are much more affordable for people to move in. Historic preservation acts like an incubator for independent business and is the biggest sector of job growth in our country. Historic preservation, the original green: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Many people think of historic buildings like the one behind me as old and drafty and inefficient, the opposite of green. These old buildings were originally designed with nature in mind for maximum function. Natural ventilation and lighting, operable windows, overhangs, and the orientation to the sun and the wind are paramount with these buildings. And these buildings perform well when they were used as they were designed. But they also perform equally well when adapted to the new green technology. And when that's adapted to them, they can actually exceed or equal LEED certified technological buildings. We must also think about the environmental avoided impact. Materials that were used were organic on this building, high quality, durable, and have already consumed a lot of energy to be produced. Consider raw materials when thinking about the reuse and new construction, and you think about the additional energy we need to produce the new materials. Today, 25% of all materials going into landfills is from demolition of architecture. So if we can cut that down, what a great thing. Historical preservation occurs where infrastructure is already in place. Roads, sewers, parks, schools. It's walkable, it's transit friendly, it supports mixed uses. Today, a green housing development requires the auto requiring new infrastructure to be laid down. And lastly, the cultural and social aspects of historic preservation are quite tricky. To describe factors that bring people to our community and keep people here, it's what you probably wouldn't think of. When I'm up in the main line, I hear different stories, but in community, places where community is built around, safety, education, and economics are not the highest ranking factors to bring people to a community like this. Instead, aesthetics, openness, and social offerings were the leading indicators in 54 studies. So hence, the theory that if you're attached to a place, you'll spend more time there, you'll spend more money here, you'll be more productive here, more invested in your community. So this is why Salem City matters. And lastly, we're trying to concentrate on attracting smaller, younger businesses, upward thinking businesses. We cannot attract the mega companies that are come to our community anymore. Generally, they only provide low wages, poor health care, and they eventually leave, providing us with high unemployment, leaving our families in dismay. And they leave us what? With decaying eyesores as a backdrop. So instead, we need to celebrate the resources that abound around us: historical architecture, African American roots, the arts, and our waterfront to bring us back to a quality of life that once again will create a sense of place here in Salem City. Thanks. I'm sorry I was so long-winded, but thanks so much.